Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Blood of My Blood. I'm Graham Ward, your Dungeon Master, and before I start talking any further, I'm going to have my friends introduce themselves. So let's all hear from Justin.
Hi, I am Justin. I am playing the role of Tiago, the now revealed to be Werrican cleric. I'm very excited.
It's madness.
Excellent. Okay, and we've got Emma Carter.
Hi everybody, my name is Emma. Welcome to GRPG's Stream of Blood of My Blood. I play the character Adelaide, who is a fine lady and a magic user of some sort. Also, I have a magic cat.
Yes, you do. We're all excited to learn more about what that all means.
So
Hey,
cute, just adorable.
So cute. Thanks, Nice Guy Bad Gamer, for subscribing.
Thanks
Yeah!
to everybody who's subscribing right now. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Heroes.
Awesome.
Okay, let's go to Ted. Welcome, Ted Bushman.
Hey, I'm Ted Bushman. I'm playing Briar Denovan. I am a barbarian. I am also the firstborn son of Mother, who is the leader of our sort of cult-like group called the Family. Nothing bad's going to happen to me in the future, I promise.
Thanks, Ted. And we've got a new cast member this week, Jessica Jackson. Welcome.
Hello, I'm going to be playing Fernwig, who is a mysterious character you will meet in this episode. She's a cook. She's kind of salty and withered. Oh, I'm excited.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you. Okay, and then we've got William Sinclair.
Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is William. I am playing Theodore, who has all sorts of issues and is trying to sort it all out. So I'm super excited.
Well, thanks to all of you for joining tonight, and for those who are watching the Twitch stream, we're just happy that you're here. We're going to try to enjoy ourselves as we plumb the depths of nightmare and torment. So this is Ghostlight RPGs. We're a collective of theater artists keeping the light lit, playing role-playing games, and we are streaming Blood of My Blood, which is a horror game set in the Darkplane setting. This is going to be Dungeons and Dragons. We're playing 5th edition rules. Maybe we're being a little breezy with the rules, but that's what we're doing. So just by way of introduction to what our game is going to entail, this is a horror game. So right up front, we want to give a content warning that you will see depictions of violence. We've already had depictions of murder, some gory stuff, possessions, body horror, and we will probably go further with many of those things. We may have references to other challenging topics like self-harm, and we are going to try to keep things a safe place here. So we have security or safety tools in place, and for those who are concerned about any horror topics, just be aware. This is your warning. In terms of other announcements, we just want to say thanks to those who are making this possible. Justin Barron, our producer, and I want to say thanks to Emma Carter, who is doing our other stream, Pitfalls and Ponies. That's on Sunday mornings at 10:30 Central. Great.
Yep.
And then I want to say thanks to Ted Bushman, who composed some of the music that you'll hear tonight. And of course, thank you to Kelsey Botwinick-Cruza, who is our social media consultant and all-around champion and wonderful human. Thanks everyone who's making this stream possible. So our last session, the players had been confronted with a derelict ship that had kind of bumped up against their vessel. They had prevented it from having a head-on collision and destroying both ships. And now they have gone on board to this strange vessel to see what they could discover about its origin and purpose here. There were corpses littering the water around the vessel, evidence of fire damage, and they discovered in what they assumed was the captain's quarters an altar that bore the marks of a strange kind of mythical crusader cult that worship a being known as Arrochule, who is the son of the god of winter. As they examined this altar, out of the shadows, they heard a howl, and they were confronted by this hound, this hellish, fire-breathing hound, and it very nearly killed a couple of them, terrified a couple others, and sent them running. And then after they were able to destroy the skull on the altar and eliminate that threat, the hound reappeared below deck alongside one of these crusaders who's wearing kind of a Spartan-style helmet with the markings of the sigil for this cult. And jumping into the depths to confront the crusader was Tiago, who took the opportunity to transform, for him, this first time in front of anyone who's a member of the family. And he transformed into his hybrid werewolf form. So we are going to kick things off right off the bat as we enter combat between Tiago and presumably other people who will get involved, and this mysterious crusader with the hellhound. So, Briar, you're first in the initiative order. What would you like to do as you've seen Tiago jump down below?
Of course, I'm sort of first just in awe of this sight and don't know exactly what to think of him in this in this situation, and don't even know whether or not to believe my eyes. But I think I'm going to. Yeah, I'm still enraged, I believe, from our last encounter. I think I'm going to leap down into the water, stride towards this crusader, and he has, if I remember correctly from the last session, he has the symbol of Arrochule. Was it like inscribed into his chest, or is that not the case?
Yes. So he is bare-chested and seems to have scars that form a straight line down the center, kind of a double cross pattern, and then several other markings that turn it into what looks like a little bit of a sigil, but it seems to be mapped to certain parts of his body.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, make a strike at him with my axe and see if I can strike into and try to damage the symbol that is sort of on him.
Okay. As you jump down, it is a 20-foot leap
Ooh.
into water, so your fall may be cushioned a little bit, but you need to make an acrobatics check.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So that's gonna be a 10.
Okay, it's a very noble effort, but as you fall, you feel this stabbing pain in your knees, and you fall prone, just dropping to your knees, losing your footing. You are now up to your shoulders in water, and you are going to take 4 bludgeoning damage from that fall.
Okay.
You still have the opportunity to now act. Unfortunately, you don't have enough movement to stand back up.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that I would. Oh, so I'd have to do something from where I am.
Mm-hmm. So you'd have disadvantage attacking from prone. But
because
there are this crusader's legs, and beside him, on this kind of fiery leash that seems to be bound to his fist, is the hellish hound.
Okay, so you're just like splashing into the water, completely submerged, and I'm just gonna reach with my axe and see what I can strike at disadvantage. Okay, that's gonna be a 4, so nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, you swing wide, leaving yourself a little bit open as the grinning face of this hound that seems to be composed of pure shadow, and some of it is rising up into the air like smoke or steam, and inside its mouth you see the roiling embers of flame begin to kindle as it grins at you, and it stomps 2 hooved feet in your direction through the water. That is Briar's turn. Theodore.
Okay. Theodore's been around the family to know that Adelaide is next in line, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So before I do anything, I'm going to look over my shoulder, having seen exactly what just unfolded. And, like, readying my sword, say to Adelaide, Tiago, do you still trust him?
Yes.
And with that, sort of not, like, perhaps Theodore was hoping for a different answer, sort of resigns and, like, walks over to the edge, looks down, and is going to also attempt to leap down after Tiago and Briar.
Okay. As you're approaching a little more cool-headed, you can see in this deck below what look like rows of tombstones reaching back, emerging from the water and heading back in the direction of the prow of the ship within this hole below the deck. As you look, you realize that they're not tombstones. They're kind of generally arch-shaped windows or mirrors. There's glass there, and you can see that they're fashioned with some kind of glinting metal, but it's a little bit difficult to tell until you jump down. So go ahead and make your acrobatics check as you jump down.
Okay. So that will be a 16 total.
Okay, so you take only 2 bludgeoning damage as you splash into the water beside Tiago and Briar. Obviously the Crusader is, from here you can now see his eyes. They're these kind of light chestnut colored eyes glinting in the light of the flame that's coming out of the hound's mouth. You've still got an action.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and swing my longsword at his neck. And that is going to be a 15 to hit.
That'll hit.
Okay. And so it's going to be 7 slashing damage.
Okay.
And that is me.
As your sword slashes across his neck, you can tell that it's not biting as deeply as you wish. There's something unnatural about the way his flesh is knit together. It's almost like hitting a hardened leather.
Okay, so it's different from what we experienced when striking at the hound.
Yeah, the hound seemed somewhat insubstantial, but this figure is like ultra substantial.
Gotcha.
Okay, so next we move to Adelaide.
All right, so Adelaide, to remind us, her skin is kind of glimmering silvery in the moonlight. And I want to, so I see the person holding the leash to this hellhound. Do I have disadvantage on attacks against him, them, or just the hellhound thing?
Because your frightened effect ended when the previous hound was destroyed.
All right, then Adelaide, having taken off her singed glove, is now going to try again to blast this being. She's gonna pull her palm back and sort of throw, like she's throwing a ball, to see if she can aim better that way. And I rolled a nat 1.
Okay, so the golden orange energy coalesces around the tips of your fingers, which are discolored, like this kind of rusty color, and you send this beam straight down toward your friends, and unfortunately, it is going to strike Briar. So go ahead and roll your damage.
Oh no! Okay.
And now I don't always have a natural 1 hit friendly, but in this case, you're firing into a melee, and it was just inevitable that a bad mistake could happen.
All right, so that's 1d10. Does the 0 mean 10? Wait, maybe that's not. This is a d10. It's still a 10.
Yeah, that's a 10. Okay, and then you add your charisma modifier.
That's 4.
Okay.
Oh no.
So Briar gets blasted with this orange golden energy that comes just in a straight line like a beam from above deck. It strikes him square in the back, and you take 14 force damage. Does that take you down?
Yeah, Briar just collapses back into the water, unconscious.
Oh no.
Just bobbing.
Okay. That is not good. The shadows darken as you realize the desperate situation that's going on below. Anything else for Adelaide? Do you want to move closer?
Is there I want to now try to throw, if there's a life preserver, I want to try to throw something down so that he doesn't sink and drown.
Okay. There is not a life preserver within your reach. You could kind of search around, but the derelict ship had seemed pretty barren and empty.
Okay.
Do you have anything in your inventory that might work?
I don't think I do. I don't have that many items.
Yeah, I mean, he's unconscious anyway, so it may not do much good.
I think she'll just say, someone help Briar.
Great. Okay, as Adelaide's voice rings down below, Tiago, you've transformed. What would you like to do next?
Quick point of order. This is shallow enough water that we're standing on
That's
ground?
right. It's about knee deep unless you're kneeling or prone, then it would be higher.
Okay. Well, I am going to... I'm charging at this man, just growling the entire time. My claws are fully extended. Just snarling. I'm gonna just claw attack this mofo.
Okay.
23 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Awesome. Well, 3 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
And then that's my action. And then I think so. I just slash across. And when I hear Adelaide call out, "Someone help Briar," I think I just instinctively turn that direction. And with my bonus action, I would like to cast Spare the Dying.
Okay, and what does that look like to everyone watching?
I know. Well, I was trying to figure that out because usually I have my holy symbol, but obviously that's not on me unless it is.
It is, yeah. So all of your equipment remains in place.
Oh, it does. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not like a druid wild shape where it melds into.
I
your
thought
body.
it like fell off or something like that.
It doesn't have to fall off if your hybrid form can accommodate it, which it can.
Sick.
You're
Let's
good.
keep it on. I'm not naked. Okay, so then yes, I think my holy symbol just instinctively glows a bit, and I just look back and give a little bit of a snarl.
Yeah, Theodore, as he snarls, you see what looks like some kind of dark mist exhale from his nostrils and just swirl around Briar for a moment, and Briar seems to cough and sputter and at least be conscious. Briar, you, strictly speaking, are still helpless. You can't act,
Yep.
etc.
Mm-hmm.
But for our purposes in this combat, you're aware of what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, that's Tiago's turn. So now the enemies will move forward. The Hellhound looks up, sees where the beam of light came from, and actually is going to take off. And as it starts running toward the steps that lead up, it's like a ladder. So it's going to start, if you picture like a very steep staircase that's almost like a ladder, it starts one by one crawling up. Its hooves are very dexterous, and it looks almost unnatural the way it goes along the boards, and it reaches the top, and you see its grinning face emerge. It's not quite within range of Adelaide, so it's going to have to wait until its next turn before it breathes, but the flame is already brewing behind its grinning teeth. The leash that was attached to it seems to lengthen, so it doesn't have any restriction on its movement that you're able to perceive. The Crusader takes his sword and he swings it directly at Theodore in retaliation for the strike that you dealt him.
Quick question, DM. Is he an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead? You don't have to answer that, but Theodore is protected from evil and good, so you'd have disadvantage.
Very good. Yeah,
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
As he swings his sword forward, you see that the arc of the blow moves gently in the air as it gets within about 6 inches from his head and just goes right over Theodore's head. His eyes kind of narrow, and you sense a little bit of doubt as he misses you with his attack. Okay. So after he does that, he is going to begin to counter. He'll actually provoke an opportunity attack from Tiago. He's looking to get Theodore between you.
Okay. Yeah, I will swipe out at him.
Okay.
It's a natural one.
Okay. So you catch nothing but air with your claw as he counters to the other side of Theodore. Once he does this, Theodore, you now see very clearly these rows of mirrors. Quickly, you think there's about a dozen of them. And the reason you thought that they were windows when you were above is that they don't reflect what's in the hull of the ship. Just gently, you can see shapes moving about, but you'd have to get closer before you could really perceive. It's somewhat dark down here. Okay, that brings us back to Briar. So Briar, you don't have to make any saving throw, but you are not able to take your turn.
Yeah, I'm just trying to breathe.
Your head is above water enough that you're not drowning. Theodore, your turn.
Okay, so Theodore will start to fixate on the mirrors. Am I within 5 feet of the enemy that's still down here with us? Okay. Okay. And Briar is far enough away that he's not in any immediate danger because Tiago and I are closed in around.
Correct.
Okay. If I were to, so the longsword, and I am proficient in 2-weapon fighting. And all I'm checking to see is if I have something on my person, which I think in my equipment I have a flask and maybe a compass or something. But essentially, without dropping my weapon, would it provoke an attack of opportunity to fling something at one of the mirrors to see what happens?
It wouldn't provoke, but you would have disadvantage to do it.
Okay, then I'll go ahead
kind of keeping one eye on him to make sure he doesn't get an attack.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. So Theodore is going to like intently sort of stare at the mirrors, cast a glance back at Briar to make sure that he's not in any immediate danger, and then sort of ready his sword in front of him, and then quickly stick his left hand down into one of the satchels at his side, and then heave this metal flask towards one of the mirrors to see if that has any sort of effect.
Okay, make a ranged attack roll. Now, this being an improvised weapon, you won't get to add your proficiency bonus to this.
Right, and this is at disadvantage, correct?
Yeah.
So that's going to be at a 7.
Okay, desperately, you fling your flask, and it knocks off the frame of one of the mirrors, and kind of deflects up into the air. You see it spin a few times, glinting in the moonlight that's coming through the open holes in the hull of the ship, and then plunk, drops into the water. You notice, though, that there is a missing mirror in the lines. There's about 2 lines of mirrors, and there's one conspicuously gone.
Okay.
Any movement for your turn?
If I can, I'd begin to sort of circle towards the mirrors, but I don't want to leave the immediate proximity of the enemy and give it the opportunity to take a swipe at me.
The mirrors are about 25 feet down, so you wouldn't be able to get any closer.
Okay. All right. Then I'm good where I'm at.
Okay. Adelaide, back to you. You see this grinning beast rising from the bowels of the ship.
I'm going to try one more time. Adelaide is going to raise both of her hands and really try to focus her energy right at this beast, this creature. And one more time, I'm going to try to use that magical energy. That's a 14 plus 6, dirty 20.
Okay, that hits.
And then that is 2d10 force damage, 3 and 7, 10 damage.
Okay. I think you're only doing 1d10.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Because I think it goes up at 5th level, you get more of the blasts.
Okay.
So we'll go with the 7.
Aw, thanks.
And then add your charisma modifier.
Plus 4.
Ooh, okay. Ooh. So you get an 11.
And she just says, "Bad dog."
Excellent. Okay, you hit it right in the face, and it kind of recoils, snarling, making a sound that no natural creature would. And then you're going to stay where you are, or do you want to? You can use your movement to back up even further if you'd like.
Yeah, I want to use my movement to back away.
Okay.
And
This
call
is
him over my shoulder, help! Help!
This is a good move. Right now, it's about 20 feet. So once you back up 30 feet, your full movement, you're kind of pressed against the cabin door. And it is now, that would make it 50 feet away.
Okay.
Okay. Tiago, back to you.
Positioning wise,
The figure has moved to the other side of Theodore. So you can still reach around or crawl around, whatever you like.
is there a way for me to flank it to where we could get some sort of like advantage situation going on, or no?
No, unfortunately, there's just no particular upper hand
Sure.
in this environment.
All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Unless you were able to get him down into the water.
Right. I would like to like do like a running launch off the side. I've been watching a lot of Warrior on HBO. I'm gonna like leap up into the air and kind of like do like a push off of the wall to try and tackle him into the water and try to like drown him,
Nice.
basically.
Okay. In that instance, if you're getting height advantage, the high ground, you can have advantage on an athletics check to try to shove him.
15.
Okay, you are successful. As you bolt up into the air, both arms spread out like the werewolf that you are, you tackle him to the ground, and you see his head submerge under the water. You have the helmet in your hand, and you can remove it if you desire.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, so
Rip
while
it
he's under
off.
the water, you pull the helmet off of his head. It's a little too dark for you to tell exactly what's beneath it, but maybe you will in a moment. Anything else for you?
I wish. No, nothing else.
Okay. From below the water, you see his sword tip thrust up. That is a 24 to hit.
Barely.
Okay, so you are going to take 6 slashing damage.
Okay.
In addition, would you please make a Constitution saving throw?
19.
Okay. As the sword slashes against your wolfish rib cage, you take the. You don't think there's. You can sense there's some other malevolent effect in the air that is not managing to harm you.
Okay.
Okay, then the Hellhound bolts straight at Adelaide. Unfortunately, it has 50 feet of movement, and when it gets 10 feet away from you, it opens its grinning maw and releases a plume of flame. Make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Okay. That is an 11.
1 second. 11 is going to succeed.
Whew.
So you will only take half of the damage. So as the fire, the flames lick at your shrinking form, you take 10 fire damage. And then it closes the rest of the distance to you, bringing us back to Briar. I guess I'm going to keep saying your name and then moving on past you.
That's no problem. Yeah, I'm still
so
here in the
sorry.
narrative.
Yes, Briar makes a few gasps from his prone position, and then Theodore has a chance to act.
Okay, so moving towards the mirrors now would not provoke. Okay, so I'm gonna move over to the mirrors and specifically see if there's anything that catches my eye about the spot where there appears to be one of the mirrors that are missing.
Okay. As you get near, are you keeping kind of laser focus? Are you scanning around? Do you want to take in any more information?
Yeah, like I'll move in that general direction because I'm trying to like that seems odd to Theodore. But yeah, I wouldn't just be barreling in on that per se.
Okay. As you pass the first row of mirrors, your eye catches the image that's in one of them, just in front of you. And what you see is the swirling form of a white-haired woman. You can barely grasp what that is when your own reflection now coalesces in front of you. But what you see seems like an exaggerated, kind of thematically dark version of yourself. Glaring, hateful eyes filled with pride, vanity, and avarice. And then the figure looks at you, and rather than like maintaining that menacing face, he just laughs this mirthless, grinning laugh silently. And I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okay.
Let me amend that to a charisma saving throw. Keep your roll, but...
Okay, so that's going to be an 18.
Okay. You shrink back, and you manage to maintain your composure. You think that this mirror just reached out to you in some way. You can still feel a little bit of an imprint in your mind of where it just pulled that information to show your reflection. Now, again, the image of a woman appears, and you very clearly see this kind of wild, silver-haired woman. She looks bound. You can see her wrists are tied together, and she looks as though she's been hurt. She's got like a black eye. And with that opportunity, let us turn our attention to Fernwig. Fernwig, you were abducted now days and days ago. You don't know how long you have been trapped inside this small chamber that seems to be composed of hundreds of mirror faces in facets like a crystal or a gem along the walls. It's only about 10 feet by 10 feet, and you don't know what the entrance was that you were admitted through to get into this chamber, but there's absolutely no evidence of anything leaving. Now approaching for the first time in the last 10 days, you see a hazy, shadowy form come up and look into the mirror. And you see someone, a silhouette or a vague countenance that you recognize as someone from the family whom you didn't know well.
Fernwig approaches the image of the man she recognized, and at first there's this look of recognition on her face, and then a look of disappointment. And she says, "You were the one that was stealing all the wine."
Theodore, you hear faintly those words that were spoken.
Okay. With that, and just with utter sort of befuddlement, I'm gonna push my hand cautiously in the general direction of the mirror again. It feels to Theodore as if when he made his way towards the mirror that it sort of pulled from his head, and so he's going to kind of push back and reach his hand forward to see if it does anything to the mirror, or causes anything more to appear.
Your hand touches cold glass as you hit the face of the mirror. You notice that it doesn't give, as though like a mirror on legs would probably rock if you put enough pressure. So it must be bolted or somehow affixed to the floor. There's no other effect that you see, and that is going to be the end of your turn. And that brings us back to Adelaide.
Adelaide is going to glare at the Hellhound, and a very loud ringing sound will ring close by as I cast Toll the Dead. And that means that this hound is going to succeed on a wisdom saving throw.
It does not succeed.
So it takes a d12 of damage instead of the d8 because it's already missing some of its hit points.
Correct.
which is a 4.
Okay.
And then Adelaide is going to, with superhuman speed, dash away using my bonus action of Expeditious Retreat.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you
back
how
towards
far can
where
you
we
move?
entered. I can dash. Basically, as a bonus action, I can dash at the end of this turn, and then every other turn until the spell ends.
Okay, excellent. So you are going to provoke an opportunity attack. However, you can easily get up to where the two ships are abutted in the water. There's no necessary check or anything like that. So let me roll as it tries to bite you as you flee. Okay, that's a 12. Does that miss?
Yeah.
Okay, so its jaws snap at your heels as you run off, and you manage to climb over onto your own ship again. From this vantage point, you can see that the entire back poop deck where the helm of the ship is blazing with fire, and the fire seems to be spreading. This was lit when the last hellhound you faced breathed its fire.
Okay.
It's coming kind of from the rear of the ship and now moving forward.
And it's between me and getting to our original ship?
No, you're now on your ship.
Oh, our ship is on fire. Okay.
Well, your ship could be on fire if that fire spreads any farther. But so basically you've gotten up onto your ship, and from there you can look back onto the ship you just left, and you see the blazing fire on the rear.
Okay. Somebody get a bucket of water!
So you've used your action, bonus action, and movement, and we will flip back to Tiago, who's facing off against this crusader.
Yes. Tiago... looking around, I see Briar's still, like, pretty far. I mean, he's down in this area with me.
Yeah, he's prone. His head is just above the surface of the water.
Okay, and I see Theodore's somewhere in this area too.
Yep, he's about 25 feet away looking at these mirrors.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take that helmet that I have in my hand. I'm just gonna try to bash it into this guy's head.
Great.
I don't know.
You've got
if that's...
advantage.
Okay.
So we'll call this an improvised weapon.
Okay. What do I...
So you would
Proficiency or
roll
no?
1d4 plus your strength modifier, bludgeoning damage.
Sorry, to hit though. Should I just consider
To hit?
it?
Yeah, don't add your proficiency bonus.
Okay, got it. It is a 14.
That's the armor class.
Oh, baby. All right, 1d4 plus proficiency, you said?
Plus your strength.
Plus strength, sorry. It's going to be 4 points.
Okay. As you're bashing the head, what you see is that the face has a scar coming straight down from the eye. Other than that, this fellow looks like a grim-eyed human.
Okay. I don't think Tiago cares much at the moment, but good to know.
Okay, he's looking somewhat hurt at this point. He's taken one sword slash and gotten his face bashed in. Even though the force doesn't seem to be quite hurting him the way you wish, he does look a little bit battered.
You can tell me if this is too much, but I was wondering if I could leap off of him and rush over to Briar. Is it possible for me to, like, hoist Briar up to the upper level where we jumped down from?
Yeah, you've got that, there's that steep staircase that the hound went up, so you could pick up Briar and try to go along. Since Briar is currently unconscious and there's no grapple necessary, you could scoop him up. It's just the opportunity attack, as this fellow is trying to stop you from getting away.
Yeah.
But he's got disadvantage from prone.
It's true. I will... Oh, such a good decision. I'm gonna stay put. Okay. I'm just gonna keep on him.
Great. You're in a good position. All right. Now, Jess, would you roll initiative? We'll fit you
8.
into the turn order. 8. Okay. So that means it's your turn.
Fernwig looks at this man who's just staring at her again, and she says, "Get me out."
And Theodore hears this very faintly.
Is the voice familiar to Theodore? Like, not someone he would know very well, but someone like he would faintly sort of recognize. It's like,
I will say that yes, there's something familiar about the voice, although you can't place it. Perhaps someone who wasn't worthy of your notice in the past.
Exactly. Okay.
Now, Fernwig, your hands are bound. You've tried hitting against this the facet of these mirrors around you to no avail. Is there any kind of like mental action you would like to take?
Can I take mental action beyond the mirror?
You would have tried this and the answer is no.
And it doesn't work. Okay. Like contact won't work beyond the mirror.
Yeah, it seems to be blocking that.
Let's see. I think I'm I can't ego whip a mirror.
Yeah, it's rough. So, and anything that might like prepare yourself, like a buff or anything else. If not, that's okay.
I don't think I have anything that would logically work in this situation.
Okay. You impatiently wait the action of Theodore, and in the meantime, you can see vaguely behind him what looks like a sword rising up out of the water and hacking toward another figure as the crusader attempts with a disadvantage to attack Tiago. He rolls a 10, so I'm going to guess that's a miss.
That's a miss.
Great. You're holding him in the water. He is flailing ineffectually, unable to connect. And the Hellhound is now going to chase Adelaide up to the edge of the ship. It is going to somewhat effortlessly crouch down and then spring, and you see it jump a full 10 feet in an arc onto the deck of the ship. Sailors around you start screaming in terror, and it unleashes this howl like the sound of a braying, bloodthirsty hound. I need Adelaide, and I'm going to roll for some of the other figures who are on the ship to make a wisdom saving throw.
Eight.
Okay, you are frightened. The hound is the object of your fear, so you can't move closer to it. You have disadvantage while it's in your line of sight.
Okay.
And that brings us back to Briar, who is unconscious.
I'm going to, while I'm in the water, I'll just be sort of whispering, and I'll say, "Mother, look what I drew."
Somehow you feel her disappointment from afar. Theodore.
So hearing the voice come through the mirror, about 1,000 different things would pass through Theodore's mind all at once, like fear and confusion. But having learned a few things in his many years, will realize that anything issuing that sort of a command, considering the circumstances, must contain some measure of power. And with that, he'll lean closer to the mirror and sort of under his breath, speak towards the mirror and say, "If this works, you keep that business about the wine to yourself. Mother would string me up if she knew I was stealing." And takes the pommel of his sword and smashes it into the mirror, not like as hard as he possibly can, but with certainly enough force to try and smash it, hoping that this is some sort of magical object that is acting as a prison.
Okay, make an attack roll with advantage.
Okay, so that is going to be a 23.
Okay, and what's the damage?
So the damage would be... it's going to be 10.
Okay, that is exactly what you needed. So you have just the right amount of force. Your sword pommel bursts through the glass and it shatters, revealing not this sort of extra dimensional space, but instead revealing a stooped and bound form of the woman who is now standing in the water on the ship. Beside her, you see 11 other figures, and your breath catches in your throat as you realize what you're looking at. These are naked humanoid forms. They seem to have some kind of growth, but as you look, you realize that there are limbs coming out of their shoulders which have been amputated. You can see signs of a very recent amputation of what look like wings. You see what looks like the bare skin of a chicken having been plucked that are on those limbs. And there's a variety of horrifying experiments that seem to have been done with the flesh of these figures. They've all just appeared now in the water beside Fernwig, presumably also trapped in this mirror. The first one you look at just randomly as you're kind of scanning around the crowd seems to have had his eyelids removed, and the skin right about the place where the eyebrows begin has been pulled up and stitched onto the crown of his head, revealing this really grotesque and piteous sight. His eyes are not there. There are empty eye sockets, and then you look at his mouth as it kind of opens in just vague moans of agony, and he has no teeth. They've all been pulled. Just bloody, gaping absence where they once were. You see another couple of these figures before you stop looking. They don't all have the same things done to them, but they've been treated with utter cruelty and sadism. So you've smashed the mirror open. Fernwig is there. Fernwig, you're conscious. Everything is as it was in the mirror, only you're no longer in the mirror.
I know I don't have the scarring, but am I naked like everybody else?
No, actually, okay. You see you're clothed. Your treatment was not particularly rough, I wouldn't say. I mean, definitely compared to these figures that you now see around you. You think you escaped some horrible, cruel fate, and you wonder what they must have done or who they must be to have deserved it. We're going to move to Adelaide now, unless Theodore wants to. I guess, Theodore, you have movement left, so you could move forward and...
Is Fernwig within reaching distance of me?
Yep.
So what I may do is, if I've scanned enough and realized that Fernwig is standing there relatively unscathed, I might reach out and put my hand on her arm and sort of pull her towards me, and then turn so that I don't have to look at any of this anymore, and put separation between her and the rest of them.
Great, you can do that. And yeah, feel free, by the way, even if it's not your turn, you can always say about 6 seconds worth of dialogue on someone else's turn. We won't be too strict about that.
As he does so, I say, "It's a deal. I won't tell her."
That brings some small measure of comfort to Theodore, considering the circumstances.
Okay, Adelaide, you have just been frightened by the hound. It's about 15 feet away from you.
Are the people on the ship armed, or are they passengers?
Generally speaking, they don't have any fine weapons. They might have knives that are more tool than weapon, but yeah, I mean, they could attack with something. And there are about 20 crew people on the deck of the ship.
Okay. I'm going to try to get everyone to help me attack this beast, even though we're all very scared. Wait, perception or insight? How many of these people look like they're terrified and would maybe not want to attack this beast, even if I asked them to?
About half of them are literally shrieking and like falling over and crouching in terror.
Okay, then instead, Adelaide is going to say, here, boy, this way. And I'm going to both dash with my regular action and then bonus action dash to try and lure it away from our ship with our passengers and our family on it, back to where we started.
Okay.
I don't
You
know
have
what
no
else to do.
trouble doing this because it seems very fixated on you.
Great.
While you're kind of turning to begin leading it in another direction, you realize that the moon is no longer just larger than it should be in the sky. It now seems to be positioned somewhat above you, like as if it is an object only yards, maybe at most hundreds of feet above you. So if you imagine, it takes up about maybe a tenth of the sky that you can see, and it is now hovering almost directly above the ship. This golden, very saturated, almost orange color moon. And as you look up, you can feel this very fine, almost chalky substance falling like snow, but it's orange.
What do you want? Is what she says as she's running.
As you say that, you see stepping into stride beside you is Silver.
Can you do something about that?
Um,
Gesturing to the hellhound.
Yeah, she kind of narrows her eyes, looks back, and you just see her pounce directly into its mouth. You don't see any other sign of what is going on. Okay. So you're going to use
running.
all of your action and bonus action with Expeditious Retreat to run?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm trying to run back to where I was before, where I know my friends are.
Okay, you make it back onto the ship. You do a nice circle so that you're not provoking any attacks. And you have enough speed with your dash that you could make it below deck if you like.
I'll do that.
Okay, so you land again in the water at the bottom of the ladder, having led this thing on a merry chase that actually probably saved Tiago's life.
You're welcome.
Okay. And that will bring us back to Tiago.
Tiago is going to kind of chuck the helmet away and put both hands down on the neck, but instead of taking my action to attack, I am actually going. So Tiago, his eyes close and he kind of grips down, but when he does, there's a little bit of like an aura that kind of comes off of him and enters, I think, the body of this man. I'm going to with my action use my channel divinity and do Path to the Grave.
Okay.
So the next attack on him has double damage.
Yep, he's vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any kind of saving throw or other effect, or is that all?
That's it.
Okay, excellent. Fernwig, your hands are still bound, but you are now released.
I'm now, and I see what's going on with Tiago.
Yeah, he
And I
seems to be. You recognize Tiago. He seems to be strangling or with restraining this figure below the surface of the water.
And I remember, even though he's a little wolfy at the moment, I'm like, this is one of the guys
you would
who-
recognize Tiago's clothing.
The holy
Yeah.
symbol too.
And the whole
Yes, holy symbol. There's just something about him that's still Tiago, and I think surprising. And then I think he was one of the ones I liked, and so I reach out to try to slash at the mind of the nasty zealot that he's fighting.
Great. Make a spell attack roll.
17 plus 5. So yay.
Oh,
22.
22. Okay, that's an easy hit. Go ahead and roll your damage.
All right. 6.
Okay. That is, he does not seem to be resistant to that. And as you reach into his mind, you hold his consciousness as if in the palm of your hand, and then you just give a little squeeze, and you feel the life run out of him. He takes double damage, correct, from the channel divinity?
Ooh, yeah.
So his mind is extinguished. His eyes, Tiago, roll back, and you feel his mouth opens up, and he exhales this mist that then swirls straight into your form. And you believe that he has woken up and you have absorbed the dream that was his life force.
Cool.
Anything else for Fernwig?
Let's see. No.
Okay,
Not
so
at this
You'll
moment.
stay kind of standing.
I'm gonna
within
stay over
the
there.
area of
Yeah,
mirrors.
I'm gonna stay by Theodore.
You would probably know as well as Theodore now does to not look at any of the other mirrors, just as just giving the information that you have. And from there, we will now move to the Hellhound, which is going to continue chasing. You now see the Hound leap from the top deck into the water. It's going to land basically between Tiago and Theodore, giving about a 10-foot distance to each of you from this creature. And it kind of looks back and forth and then quickly exhales a gout of flame in the direction of Tiago. So, Tiago, make a dexterity saving throw, please.
15.
Okay, that succeeds. So you only take 10 fire damage.
Well, I'm down nonetheless, so.
Okay, great. Didn't kill you outright. So as you're all kind of around there, you now see Tiago engulfed in flames, his fur singed, his form collapses onto the ground. As it does, he reverts to the human form of Tiago that you're familiar with, just lying neatly right beside Briar. And that means it is Briar's turn, then it's Theodore's turn.
Okay, so
The Hound is about 10 feet from you.
Okay, so I'm just seeing what's happened, seeing Tiago's form revert, taking assessment of what that means, and thinking on things, just sort of shaking free, and then with both hands bringing the longsword up over my head, and then attempting to come down on the creature, like moving forward and then coming down on the creature as I do. So I'm going to lunge in, and that is going to be should have this memorized by now. It's a 21.
Nice. All right. You cleave right through its shadowy form.
That's going to be 6 points of slashing damage.
Okay. Its form kind of flickers for a moment. A big burst of shadow, like smoke, comes out of the area where you struck it. But it is still training its eyes. Now back on you. All right, Adelaide.
Afraid, Adelaide clutches her head and sort of like curls up in a little ball because I'm so frightened. And again, casts Toll the Dead, but now it's like a very frantic, like clang, 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 like a Big Ben is going off right now in this room because she's freaked out. And she's like, why won't it just die?
Excellent. Okay, rolls a 10, so it'll take the full damage.
Okay. That is, that's a 12 because it has taken damage already.
Right.
10 plus charisma is 4.
Awesome. Yep. Okay, and with that, the shadowy form just disappears like the smoke of a fire that has been smothered. And all you hear now is the mad ringing of that bell, which you realize is the signal bell on your own ship, signaling that the ship is beginning to catch fire. You hear the lapping of water. You see these tombstone-like rows of mirrors. We're going to end initiative order, so do whatever you would like. We've got Tiago, who is currently dying, and Briar, who's unconscious.
I run to Tiago. And wake up, and start shaking him, and I suppose realize that he is dying. And can I roll medicine to try and stabilize him? I want to try and prevent him from dying.
Sure. Do you have any kind of healer's kit?
I do. I have a little bag of sand and a scholar's pack and a proficiency in medicine.
Okay, with your proficiency in medicine, you think that you can at least put pressure on the bleeding, try to help him not die. So go ahead and make a medicine check.
That is a 10.
Okay, that's what you needed. So this is not going to automatically stabilize you, Tiago, but it's going to give you advantage on your death save.
Okay.
Anyone else going to do anything before I have him roll that death save?
What are you two doing? Just standing there. Do something.
To be honest, hearing the bell and being somewhat distrustful of everything that he just saw, not knowing anything about Tiago's true nature, I'm just going to look to Adelaide and say, I trust you can take care of this, but there are pressing matters back on the ship. And I'm going to try and make my way up and see if I can't go address the fact that that bell is ringing and that there may be potential danger for our only method of escape.
Okay.
Fine.
So Theodore heads up.
Who are you?
You don't recognize me? I served you all those meals. I'm Fernwig.
Oh. What? Wait. I thought you... Never mind.
It's okay.
Come help me. I need your help.
Graham, will resistance concentration help Tiago on this saving throw?
That is a good question.
I can touch one willing creature, and the target can roll a d4 and add the number to one saving throw of its choice.
Yeah, sure. That's saving throw, so yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so I kind of shoo Adelaide out of the way, and I'm trudging over to Tiago, and I put my hands on his head, and I concentrate for a moment. And then I take my hands away, and I look on with concern. And then I look up at Adelaide, and I say, "Where's Mother?"
On the ship. The ship. There's a fire. We have to take them and get off of this ship. It's on fire.
And I say, "Good idea." And I start to pull at Tiago, and then I look over and I notice that Briar's there too. Mm-hmm. Right? Because Briar's completely...
Yep.
Yeah.
So Tiago, make your saving throw. You've got advantage from the medicine check and an additional D4. Was it D4 plus?
The target can roll a D4 and add the number rolled to one saving throw.
Now, am I going to do multiple saving throws? Should I save that for in case I need it?
It might be the next one.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Or is it?
I'll add it. No big deal.
Yeah.
18.
Okay, so that's one success.
As soon as Theodore gets to the ship, despite all of his sort of grandstanding, he'll scream out that there are people wounded in the ship below, and anyone that he recognizes, especially if he is able to catch sight of the doctor, and instruct them that that the rest of the party is down below, and then do what I can to assist the crew in putting out the fire.
Yes, so you do see that Himalayan, the doctor, has come up to the deck of the ship and is helping kind of bring water up to try and put out the fire as it's spreading. They're not doing a very good job, not just them, but everyone who's attempting this. It seems like it's not going to work. You notice that the fire is spreading directly toward the captain's quarters, and it is putting at risk the strange objects that you found, or maybe more that you suspect might be within there. But most of the crew look at you, and you just see contempt in their eyes. A sadly familiar sight. But Himalayan, the doctor, will kind of set something down, and they jog up to you. And they're signing, saying, what's going on? Who is it that's over there?
I'll sign back. Tiago is dying. Briar's no worse. And there are others. You'll have to see for yourself. I can't put into words what exists below that deck.
Something uncanny?
Something no man should see. Something, yes, uncanny, unworldly, not... I don't know, man. Just
it's all
look
right.
for yourselves.
It's all right. I will go. And you see that they're now hoisting up their doctor's kit and are going to head in that direction. let's have Tiago make one more death save, please.
That is a 6.
Okay, so you got 1 success, 1 failure.
Yep.
Now, Fernwig, that's a cantrip?
Yeah.
So you can be continuously casting that.
Great. Then
So go ahead
Fernwig
and-
is there with both her bound hands, and they're still on his head, and she's concentrating.
Okay, you sense that his mind is slipping. Tiago, roll a d4 and add it to that check you just made. It was a 6, right?
Yep.
So you'll need a 4.
3.
Okay, he's just pulling out of the reach of your psychic grasp. Go ahead and make one more and add that d4,
Okay.
Tiago.
I got the exact
With
same
advantage,
rolls.
right?
I got the exact same rolls.
Adelaide, are you continuing to help there?
Any way I can.
Okay, so we've got 1 fail, 1 success. Roll with advantage on this one.
All right.
Tiago.
Much better. 19.
Okay, 2 successes. Let's do
Praying
one
for
more.
you.
Yep, and we'll say that Adelaide and Fernwig are continuing what they're doing to help you.
11 with the 4.
Okay. So just over the threshold, you manage to move toward life. You stabilize at 0 hit points. Fernwig, you sense him unconscious but breathing.
He's back. He's coming back to us.
But we have to get them off. We have to. You take Tiago, and I'll. And Adelaide's gonna go.
How
for
are
the
you
Briar.
going to? How are you going to pick up Briar?
I don't know. But she's going to try to
So
lift
I start
Briar.
with my bound hands. I start pulling Tiago through the water.
Oh,
Okay.
Fernwig is still bound
Mm-hmm.
by rope.
Yes.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm gonna pull out my dagger and I'm going to unbind her.
Okay, great. You can do that. As you're doing this, you notice the figures that have appeared amongst the mirrors. About 10 or 11 of these absolutely piteous forms.
I don't even want to know what those are. I just want to get off the ship.
Don't look in the mirrors.
I won't.
Okay, go ahead, the two of you, each make an athletics check. Are you each taking one, or are you joining together to take them one at a time?
Adelaide thinks that she can carry one by herself.
Yeah, and Fernwig's just dragging Tiago. I got athletics. I got 18 minus 1, so 17.
Me too.
Very good.
No, literally me too.
Synchronicity.
So, whatever fate is with you is helping you in this moment. You find strength that is not part of your everyday experience.
It's
And
adrenaline.
yeah, exactly. You both manage to hoist the bodies up the ladder onto the deck just as Himalayan arrives, pulls out their medical kit, and restores 1 hit point to both Briar and Tiago.
They'll thank us later.
You can now see the fire has spread onto the prow of the ship, the rally.
What?
The sooner we get off this ship, the better.
Fernwig? What are you?
Tiago.
You're
I
alive.
thought you were dead.
Briar. No, it's not as easy as that to kill old Fernwig. Come on, we have to get you off the ship.
Yes.
Let's do
Yes.
Okay, you all managed to clamber over and back onto the rally, where you see a huge commotion as they're trying to put out the fires, and they're just not successful. Again, most of the crew have come up, so there's about 20 who are throwing water onto the fire. Theodore, where have you ventured in this time?
I'm gonna realize Theodore would do his best to try and lend any aid possible, but the moment that he suspected that things were going to progress past a point where anything could be done, he is going to bolt for the captain's quarters, not willing to give up on understanding what may lie within that particular box.
Okay.
And so, yeah, like even if there's flames, regardless, he's going to charge in.
Yeah, that moment arrives just before the others get over the edge, so you don't have time to see them arrive to safety on the ship as you charge toward the burning cabin of the Captain Tariq Zet. You can see the door's on fire, but it's not enough that it would block you from getting in.
Okay, yeah, I'll put my shoulder into it and kind of shield, but push straight into the room.
Great.
Assuming that if it's burning, that it'll probably give. So
exactly, yeah, it gives easily, and you throw your shoulder into it. The door bursts open and actually falls onto the floor, where it strikes some kind of vase, which shatters under the door's weight. And you see, in the area that is least consumed by flames, the very box. It's kind of like a leather chest that is underneath a wooden crate.
Okay. So I'm going to put my hands onto the wooden crate and attempt to just, with all of my strength, sort of like presuming that it doesn't give, if it's got some weight to it, pull to get it off the top of the box, the chest. The chest being the only thing that sort of triggered any sort of response when I was in the room before, and that being the thing that I would be fixated on. If I'm able to get the crate off, the idea is to just kind of, if I can lift the chest, get it onto my shoulder, and then flee as quickly as possible.
Okay, make an athletics check.
Okay. So that is going to be a 15 plus, it's going to be a 19.
Okay. So with all of your might, you shove the crate and it upends and lands on the top, with the top on the bottom against the bed. And you now have access to the chest. The chest, I don't remember if I gave dimensions before, but it's about 4 feet wide. So it takes most of your arm's reach to get down to the handles on each side, but you can heave it up and you've got it kind of braced against your abdomen.
Okay. And yeah, I'll make haste as quickly as I can, considering the size and weight.
Yeah, you have to turn to the side to get through the doorway. You feel the flames licking at you, but you manage to get out enough to see now Briar striding over the edge of the ship with Adelaide, Tiago, and Fernwig alongside him. Briar, you're limping. You take in the scene. Anything you'd like to do?
Well, I spit a mouthful of blood onto the deck of the ship, and look up at everything. I mean, this might be an insight roll, might be anything, but if our ship burns, are we going to sink out here? And would getting the ship to move be of use to us?
There are 2 lifeboats that would each carry about 8 people.
Let's get to the lifeboats. And we need to find the people who we need on those boats. We need to find
We need
Karanis.
Mother.
Wait, Briar, wait. We cannot just... Is it that bad?
Perhaps we've seen a lot of strange things, but this ship is burning, and I don't think we can stop it.
What about the others?
We need to get as many as we can. Look, if I don't end up on one of the lifeboats, that's fine. But I think we need to get everyone we can onto one. And is Karanis visibly around?
No.
Okay. I'm probably just going to stalk off towards his cabin, if I know where it is.
Sure, yep. 1 deck down, you head into the dim light of the hold.
And it's not burning yet here, yes?
Correct.
Yeah, so I'm just going to stumble there, leaning against the wall as I go and just pound my fist against the wall. Not against the wall, against the door. Trying to get his attention.
How about Adelaide and Fernwig?
Someone needs to find Mother.
Fernwig reaches out and tries to locate Mother.
Okay, so with your psychic contact, you're able to sort of chart the location of every intelligent mind within, is it 60 feet?
Yep, 60 feet.
Okay, seeing as you're standing somewhat on the center of the ship, that's pretty much everybody. You have this vision, this Professor X vision of all the minds on the ship, and you see that Mother is in the cabin of Karanis, and you can just vaguely sense strong emotions of anger and contempt coming from her.
And Fernwood looks at Adelaide and she goes, "This way." And she takes off to get to that cabin.
I'll follow.
Okay.
The one thing that Adelaide is thinking about that she wants to get on this ship before they leave is that bone that she found earlier. This is, I guess, a DM question. If Adelaide tries to focus, can she summon that bone to her?
Ooh, that would be convenient, but unfortunately, nothing happens as you're experimenting with your newfound abilities. It doesn't work, but you know that your cabin is not far from Mother.
Okay.
So you all head down now. Briar, Adelaide, Fernwig. Is Tiago going with them?
I suppose so. Yeah, he would want to seek out Mother.
Okay, you all head straight down to the cabin where Karanis is. You see Briar at the lead, leaning up against the wall, pounding on the door. You hear Mother's voice say, "Who is it out there?"
Mother, it's me.
The door opens, almost tumbling you into the room. You can see that Karanis is in the process of packing a valise, and Mother has already a heavy piece of luggage in her hand.
Right. Mother, we're going to the lifeboats. Who do we need? Who do we need to get and where are they?
You won't hear any argument from me. I want each of you on a lifeboat. Everyone who doesn't fit can fend for themselves. Perhaps they can get on that vessel.
Fernwood looks at Mother and says, "Do I rate a seat?"
She seems not to have noticed you until you speak. And she kind of looks at you with a cautious expression. She senses that there's something between you at the moment, seeing as you've psychically contacted her. And you see a little bit of a sly expression of peacemaking across her face, and she says, "Of course, Fernwig, we wouldn't deprive you."
There's an awful lot of dead Atharmos floating around the ship. Do you have any idea what happened to them?
She seems to, you recognize that she understands the word you've just thrown out. And she says, "An unfortunate happenstance, I'm sure."
Not really. I prefer them dead. Just wondering if you had anything to do with it.
Of course not. If I had known that we would be running into a vessel like that, I never would have let us here.
Fernwood just sort of keeps eye contact with her eyes and otherwise, and just sort of leans back, satisfied she's got a seat on the boat.
You can, if you like, make an insight check.
Okay.
You also have the option, if you want to use your intelligence instead of your wisdom for that, seeing as you're using your psychic connection.
Okay. 19.
Okay. You think, based on the feelings you're getting from her telepathic connection, that she is telling the truth, that she didn't know that these crusaders, the Atharmos, as you've named them, have arrived. However, you, for the first time, sense that she knows your connection and knew that you had been taken. Although wouldn't, and you sense a little bit of that subtext under her saying, "I never would have led us here." She never would have gone after that ship that she knew you were on.
Got it. So I know I'm here by fate alone.
She kind of gives you like a wan smile and then says, "Well, we'd better get a move on," and starts pushing past.
Yes, how will we decide the others? This is not the...
Don't worry, Tiago. And she gets kind of close to you just for a moment and says, "I will make these decisions. You don't need to trouble yourself about that."
I trust your judgment, Mother.
Briar, could I make I don't know, could I try to remember, are there any in the family, are there any elderly people or pregnant women among the group? Would I be able to recall that? I know there's like
no
80
pregnant women. amongst the family at this moment. So that's fortunate that no one's dealing with that.
Yes.
There are definitely a few older folks.
Would I know where they are, where they're
They would just be staying in the sort of general common sleeping area.
I'll say to the rest, I'm going to try and find I'll say find the older people from our group. I'll see if I can go find them, and I'll sort of stomp off in that direction.
Is anyone following Briar?
No, I'm gonna go get that bone.
I'll go with Briar.
Awesome. Adelaide, you slip off and you get into your room. You see Silver there holding the bone in her mouth, and she kind of gives it to you, and then she leaps up onto your shoulder and gives you a little scratch with the paw to basically say, I'm ready to go.
All right, let's go. And I'm just gonna go straight to trying to find a lifeboat to get onto it.
Okay. Karanis kind of lingers in the hallway next to Fernwig, and he looks down at you and he says, I suppose it's fortunate that we ran across that ship after all. I'm glad you're with us again.
Thank you, Karanis. I know that's from the bottom of your heart.
He almost laughs at your incisive response, and then he says, I'm sure we'll be very pleased at your company. Go along, I'll be just behind you.
So Fernwig decides not to fight this, and she goes off in the same, just now her mind's turning to where did that Adelaide go, and she's going in that direction.
Okay, so you run across Adelaide just a few doors down, coming out of her cabin. Adelaide, did you stash the bone?
I don't think I've stashed it yet. I think that as I'm walking, I'm not really thinking, and Fernwig is suddenly right there.
Yep, she's holding about a 9-inch long human femur with etchings on it.
And I kind of look at it and I say, nice bone. And then can I read what's on it?
Make a perception check.
Okay. 2 plus 3.
You got a good perception. It's just she manages to kind of swish it down just in time. You see that it had etchings, but you aren't able to make them out.
Family heirloom.
Odd
Couldn't leave without it.
An odd heirloom for an odd family.
Let's go.
Karanis is
So
just behind you as you head up to the deck. Briar and Tiago.
As we're on our way, I just want to, I'm still stumbling on the way to Tiago, and I because he's a human now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say it. I think my mind got the better of me down there. Has anyone ever told you have somewhat canine qualities?
Yes, it is something that I've been meaning to share with you all. I didn't know how. It is a part of me that I've not... A conversation for another time, perhaps.
Certainly. But you are still my friend.
And you, and I kind of take you by the shoulder. I don't mean to alarm you, but I'm scared that there may be something else in there. I sensed a presence within you.
I will explain it soon. Better to explain it now. I was the one responsible for Marcis's death, and I have been haunted by his face. I don't know what you sensed. I don't know what happened, but I've been feeling an influence outside myself. It has once caused me to climb the rigging. I don't know what to make of it. I think that I'm still in control of myself, at least for now.
Yes.
But if the time comes when I am not in control, do what you have to do.
Briar, I know how it feels to be out of control. I know how it feels to have death on my hands. This is not something that I take lightly, but know that I do not judge you.
You should. And we continue on towards our goal, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Let's flip back to Theodore. You have exited the captain's cabin carrying this luggage. You see the sailors struggling against the fire. Now some of them are trying to untie the lifeboats. People are now, members of the family, are surging up from the decks below and are scrambling over one another, trying to get onto the lifeboats. The situation's actually getting a little bit dangerous. You think there's risk that the lifeboat could go careening into the water before it's ready.
Okay, so in all of this, do I catch sight of Tariq anywhere? Do I catch sight of any of the sailors who may have, that I would have recognized as being in any sort of position of authority?
Yeah, you'll see the first mate.
Okay, so I'm going to, kind of drop the chest and make my way over to the first mate. And
she's
grab
kind of
him by the...
she's a raven-haired woman.
Oh, okay.
Thick curly hair, like a deep brown skin. She her eyes flash in your direction, recognizing who you are and sort of ready to take instructions, although she's kind of gritting her teeth a little bit.
Okay. So Theodore is going to, grabs her by the shoulder and sort of turns her to him. The rally isn't going to make it. We were able to clear everything off of that other ship. I want you to take the sailors here, and I want you to take some of the family, and I want you all to get to the deck of the other ship and await further instruction.
Are you
Whatever
mad?
creature came up after Adelaide, we were able to slay it. There's nothing else there, but we have no chance if we all try and make it into these 2 lifeboats.
You're not wrong, but both ships are on fire. You think we'll fare any better over there?
The other ship has caught fire before. There's some sort of magical property that keeps it afloat. You will be safe there. I can promise you that. And with that, Theodore tries his best to sort of sell that as much as he can.
Sure, make a persuasion check. She does look over, and you can see that it looks like the flames are eerily dying down on the other ship as they kind of feed the hunger of the fire in your direction.
Okay. What check? Sorry.
Persuasion.
Persuasion. Okay. Yeah. So that is going to be a 15. So with a bit of, a crack in his voice, as he knows this isn't the complete truth, but again, trying to do all he can to get them over there, issues that command.
Okay. She surveys the other ship, looks at you, very frustrated. You think for a moment she might hit you, and then she just kind of curtly nods and jogs over and starts bringing sailors around and starts forming them up to load onto the other ship.
And then Theodore is going to then attempt to sort of, knowing what he knows about the family, those that aren't essential or don't serve much of a purpose, he's going to instruct them to line up to get onto the other ship. If there's anybody that he comes across, Hamillion, for example, that would be of benefit, hold them back and tell them to stay and go to the lifeboat instead.
Okay, great. Yep. So, Hamillion, you now see Coranus, Adelaide, and Fernwig emerge onto the top deck. And you've sort of made these decisions. You've got the essential family members. Mother's there as well. You're all going to fit onto one of the lifeboats. So then it's just finding the other 8 people to put on the other one. In the meantime, the other family members are very resistant, but a sharp word from Mother and promise that that you will reconnoiter with them later, they line up to board the other vessel. And you have this sinking feeling as you watch now the sailors of your ship and other members of the family stepping onto this vessel with no sails, on which you know is an altar made of bones and a set of mirrors that surround forms of hideous victims. Okay, Tiago and Briar, you make it into the area where most of the family had been sleeping. It's almost cleared out. You see 2 or 3 figures hastily grabbing belongings, but people didn't really have much when they set out onto the ship, so that you can basically ignore them. But you notice that there is a deep, deep darkness in this area. Tiago has a little bit of an easier time. The eyes of the wolf that are always with you help you to peer through. You don't see color, you just see this kind of hazy black and white. It is an unnatural darkness, but it's not so dark that it even prevents your dark vision from seeing.
It just seems to be and the entirety of the room, or coming from a specific area?
No, the entirety of the room.
Okay. This is unnatural. I do not like this. But is there anyone here?
Anyone who cannot walk.
We must get to a lifeboats, please. Come out.
2 of the figures kind of look up, mutter something, grab a few things. You see like a trail of a linen shirt kind of flapping behind a figure as he runs out past you. You do hear another sound. Once they leave, you hear the creaking of the ship. You hear a little bit of the crackling of fire, which you would know is directly above you. And in the deep of this darkness, you hear a sickening
Briar, I think perhaps we make our retreat.
We need to get out of here.
I don't know about you, but I don't feel well.
I feel great, but for your sake, sure.
Yeah.
You now see what looks like another person striding forward from a hammock near the back. They're kind of emerging from the darkest area of the quarters, and they're moving strangely. And it isn't until they get about 20 feet from you, just in the course of a few seconds, that you realize the reason they're moving strangely is that they don't have legs. Instead, what you see first is a spinal cord with hanging entrails, sinews, and other fleshy bits that are dangling and dripping. The head, however, is moving at the level of your eyes. So because there are no legs, it gives the impression that the figure is just sort of gliding, but attached to the top of the head is this mucousy membrane, which has slid down just over the eyes and is leaving the mouth and nose hanging open. And projecting behind that membrane is what looks like a glass ball covered with that same kind of goopy, mucousy material, and then another, and then another, and another. And it creates kind of a wormy trail in an S-curve shape of what look like these globules. They're very sturdy in their shape. They're not like changing form like the membrane is. It's like there are glass spheres that are all enshrouded like a hose in this membrane, and they're just waving in this S curve and attached to the head. And suddenly the mouth of the torso and up opens and says, "You have been chosen."
Briar, run!
Yeah, we're
turn and
going
run.
to turn and run, yes, no question.
Run as far as you may. Your lives are forfeit. And that is the last sound you hear as you slam the door behind you, and this hideous thing is covered up. I need both of you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah. Natural 1 plus 5?
Oh, man.
Fortunately, there's no critical failure on a saving throw.
Good.
Oh.
It's a 13 for me.
Okay. Would you each roll a D100?
Oh.
No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 19.
54.
Okay. Tiago, as you run through the deck of the ship, it looks like the walls are opening like slots between window blinds. And you see pouring in this golden orange light, lighting up the entire hallway. You have the sense that you're running through an alley, and without even realizing where you've gone, you're no longer on the ship. You see towering buildings around you that are made from the bones of some ancient creature. You see these bones like cross-beam struts holding up this kind of skeletal tower beside you. Stretched in some of the gaps, you can see flesh that has been tanned or just left to the elements. And you see your vision is kind of brought in very, very close, and you can see individual hairs sticking out of that flesh, and they kind of prickle as you look at them, as if you're running your finger along the back of someone's neck. You look up into the sky, and there is no sky to speak of. It is utterly black, but through that blackness moves another one of these S-shaped serpents, just undulating in this pattern. It has no corpse on its mouth, but these globes of almost glassy spherical shape encased in the membrane are just moving through the air. You hear what sounds like the weeping of people of all ages, clearly human voices, and just the constant sound of a wet pop as of bones being torn from their sockets. And it is utterly terrifying, and you walk for what feels like miles through this vista. Meanwhile, Briar, what was your number?
54.
Okay. What object is on your person that is of value to you? Personal, sentimental value.
There's a letter from Selby.
Okay. You reach into a pocket, I presume.
Yeah.
You touch that letter. It has become for you a desperately important totem of your memory of Selby, and you are attached to it in a way that is irrational.
Mm.
So if you are more than 30 feet away from it, you are going to start being affected by that. So you're just holding on tight. Make sure
I take it from the outer pocket where it is, and I shove it into like the closest pocket I can find, the one that's the most secure. You know, it's got a button on it, and I like as I'm like running, I stop to I was focused on the stupid button, and then keep running.
Okay. Adelaide and Fernwig, you've come up with Mother. Anything you'd like to do on the deck of the ship?
Fernwig, was it?
Yes. Fernwig. Hello, Adelaide.
Hello. You did something down there on that other ship to help Tiago.
Just old medicine. That's all it was. Just old medicine. You pick up a lot when you've worked in a kitchen as long as I have.
Of course. You have your secrets and I have mine. Perhaps we can look out for one another.
Perhaps we can. I'm glad we understand each other. And then Fernwig reaches in one of the folds of her many pockets, and she pulls out a little canister of sardines, and she puts them in Adelaide's hand, and she says, "For your kitty."
Adelaide was not expecting that. Pockets these sardines, although they are smelly. Thank you.
And Fernwig just smiles and that they have some sort of understanding now.
And Adelaide returns the smile.
There's a gasp as the mainsail catches fire. And you hear several members of the family weeping, saying, "All hope is lost. We'll never leave this place."
So wait, are we on the one of the lifeboats right now? Fernwig and I'm
assuming that you're still kind of standing by the lifeboat as they're preparing it to be loaded.
Well, let's get these people. Help me get these people on the boats.
So Fernwig starts kind of hustling people onto the boats, and she's looking around and she's trying to find the faces she remembers. This is all very confusing for her. Do I see Tiago and Briar coming up yet?
You don't quite yet.
Okay. So I'm hustling people on, and I notice that someone's missing, and I'm confused, and I turn to Adelaide and I go, "Where's Selby?"
She's gone.
Gone? What do you mean gone?
She was afflicted. She was sick. We can talk about it later, but Selby is gone. We don't need to worry about Selby anymore.
Well, it makes me worried. And Fernwood keeps hustling people onto the ships.
Is Theodore anywhere near that when that transpires?
Sure. Yeah, you've had time to approach, assuming that you're helping also with people loading up.
Absolutely. At that point, that would be news to Theodore as well, because Theodore wasn't aware, and so at that point he would probably shoot Adelaide a look of like confusion and like sort of mild anger at this revelation coming at such an inopportune time, and then come over to her and look at her and very sternly say, "Those that are going to die, put on the ship. Those that will need to stay alive ourselves, get them into the lifeboats."
Of course.
And then I'm going to stomp off, and also throughout, at some point, even if it means someone doesn't get on the second lifeboat, that chest is coming with me.
Okay. Yeah, you managed to strong arm Karanis into supporting you in that order, and he will kind of murmur something to the crew. They seem to like him a little more than you, or at least in this particular one, seems to have an understanding with him.
I'll most certainly take advantage of that.
We're going to load the chest onto the boat. Okay.
Nod,
okay.
And then continue on.
Briar, you make it up to the deck. You look back, and you see Tiago. He is crumpled up in the fetal position in the cabin just outside the door where you slammed and left that creature behind.
Oh, he hasn't moved at all.
Maybe a few feet, but hardly at all.
Am I close enough to see Theodore?
No. You're still below.
Oh, I'm still below. Okay. I'm gonna.
As you're considering,
yeah,
the door begins to slowly creak open.
I'm gonna run back for him.
Okay. Yeah, he's about 30 feet back, so you can get there. He seems to be in a conscious state. His eyes are just open, and he's looking kind of all around. You can see his pupils darting. He's not looking at anything that's present here.
Yeah. Tiago! I'm going to slap him twice across the face.
Tiago, as you're navigating this alien cityscape made of flesh and bone, you feel an impact strike your face, and you kind of recoil. You don't see anything that caused it.
Masa, guide me.
There's a terrifying silence. Suddenly, one of the buildings starts to creak and groan. And you can see that it is starting to lean down in your direction like a drawbridge lowering. You realize that a whole line of these bone-built towers are leaning, and in fact, the entire ground is beginning to raise up to a perpendicular orientation from the ground that you're standing on.
Can I shift in this way? In this way? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think instinctively, Tiago like kind of coils down into himself a little bit, and drops to his knees and fall forward and just shifts into full wolf form, and starts running.
Okay. Briar, you see his body transform again. His torn clothing kind of buckles against the growing, muscular, hairy form of the werewolf. It's another hybrid form.
I was gonna go full wolf form, actually.
Full wolf?
Yeah.
Okay. As he is crumpled there in the fetal position, his clothing becomes loose and slips off as he transforms before your eyes into a dog. It's nauseating watching this happen in close proximity. What would you like to do while he's doing that?
I want to pick him up with his clothes. I mean, does he weigh less when he's a dog?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab this dog, and
like a wolf.
and bundle up all the this wolf and bundle up all the clothes and just start running towards the exit if I can.
Okay, Tiago, you feel the breeze on your face, this hot, noisome breeze, as you're kind of jogging in wolf form through the streets. You can see the buildings are now starting to become parallel with the ground. As you kind of run, and then you feel the ground beneath you start to fold up in the other direction, and you feel that you are getting caught in a vice as the streets around you, which is a very generous term for what they are, they're just made of ash and bone, begin to compress like a V.
Yeah.
Briar, you make it up onto the top deck, and the rest of you see Briar emerge with a wolf in his arms and Tiago's clothing wrapped around it.
Over here!
I'm gonna run towards the lifeboats with the beast. And I mean, I'm only gonna do this if I have to, but would I toss him into the boats? Like, could I get down, or could I like leap down in with him, or what do I have to do?
Yeah, you can leap down with him. The boats have just gotten ready, so everyone is now able to board if they'd like to.
Okay.
You notice a conspicuous chest that you recognize from the captain's quarters has made its way onto the lifeboat, and Theodore is sitting on it.
Can I be on the one that Mother's not on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's what I'm jumping onto. And
so
then
she, Karanis, Himalayan, and a couple other people you recognize are on the other lifeboat.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump onto the one that's not on, put him down, and I don't know if anyone else is doing anything, but I think I'm also just gonna keep scanning the group of anyone who remains from the family. If there's any, have they all moved to the other ship?
Yeah, they're just about completing that boarding process.
Okay. He's just gonna look desperately. He's kind of looking for someone vulnerable, someone who needs to who he would feel like he needs to protect. He's looking for a Selby who he can save. Is sort of what he's looking for.
Well, there is someone you recognize, a woman named Etta, who is also kind of in the inner circle of the family. She's currently standing on the prow of the ship, where the flames are beginning to spread most quickly. She's kind of in a ring of fire. You just vaguely see her. She's not in immediate danger, like she's not burning, but she is standing there kind of looking off at where the moon should be, although it's now kind of shifted to be above you.
I'll say, Adelaide, this is Tiago. He's changed again. Fernwig, can you come with me? I think we need to get Etta.
Fernwig looks up at this woman in a ring of fire, and she said, "If it was anyone other than you, I'd say no, Briar." And she goes with him.
Okay.
For those staying on the boat, is there anything particular you'd like to do? Just want to give you the chance before we move on.
I'm probably just looking at Tiago as a wolf.
I think Briar would also look at Theodore expectantly, just in case he wants to volunteer to come, but wouldn't make the invitation himself.
Well, and I think that Theodore would sit there for a moment and let them run off, but then sort of assessing Briar's current condition and everything that just transpired, I'd look over at Adelaide and say, no one touches this chest. And with that, I'll get up and run off behind them.
Okay. So that leaves Adelaide with Tiago. And you can see Tiago's doing that thing that dogs do when they sleep. His lips are kind of curling back, and he's making
Tiago.
little...
Cute.
Tiago. Wake up.
Tiago, the vice that you are caught in is getting closer and closer. You can feel bones from the streets on both sides pressing in as you shove your claws against them. I guess you're in wolf form, so you're trying to press yourself away. You can hear thundering through the void-like sky above you. Tiago.
Masa, this is my penance. Forgive my sins, please. I think starts bawling. Dog tears.
Oh, Tiago, we need you.
Tiago, we need you.
Wake me up. Masa, I'm ready.
Wake up.
As the street now presses you so close that you can feel your own bones strain against the bones on this street that is now a vice around you. You feel your joints pop. You hear that same sickening pop of a bone leaving its socket, and everything goes dark.
Can I cast protection against good and evil?
As you cast protection against good and evil, as you prepare to cast it, his eyes open. And Tiago, you are aware that you have woken up, but perhaps not to the place you'd hoped to be. You are in a lifeboat, seeing the rally burn above you. And across the deck of the ship, you can see what looks like about 60 people loading up onto the derelict ship that contained the bone-built altar and the fiendish crusader.
I think he just starts whimpering, still in dog form. And I just exhausted, I think, just kind of sits back, taking it all in and feeling extremely like he failed.
Okay. Fernwig, Theodore, and Briar, you approach the ring of fire, in the center of which is standing Etta. She's turned away from you, but you can see her dark hair kind of blowing as the heat rises around her.
I reach out and try to get inside her mind enough to say, look toward us, come toward us, so I can see if there's some sort of way to get her out of this fire.
Sure. You feel the telepathic connection works. She turns as she hears your voice in her mind and makes eye contact with you. You seem to have roused her out of some sort of state of delirium or unconsciousness, and she looks suddenly focused, but concerned about the flames that are directly in front of her.
I look toward Briar and Theodore, and I say, what do we do? How do we get to her?
The flames are enough that she couldn't leap to us through them.
Right.
Okay. Is there any wreckage around that Theodore and I could lift to place and smother a portion of the fire?
Sure.
Okay. Theodore, can you help me lift this? I don't have a lot of strength left.
Theodore will nod and move in the direction that Briar's indicating.
Okay. So what you found is just what looks like some kind of fallen piece of the mast that's closest to the prow of the ship, maybe like one of the cross beams, and some of the attached accoutrements have fallen down to the deck. So make an athletics check with advantage from Theodore's help.
I'll also say, Fernwig, I've seen you carry some pretty heavy pots in your time.
None as heavy as Tiago.
Yeah, so I'm, calling to her if she wants to help us. Obviously not for a mechanical reason, just narratively.
Yeah. Fernwood goes to help them, but she's still trying to whisper into Etta's mind, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm.
Etta says, where are we going to go after this?
That's not for you to worry about right now. We're going to go away.
I'm pretty worried about it. I'm looking around and it seems pretty hopeless.
It seems hopeless, but there's a lifeboat and there's people who need you.
She says,
16 on athletics.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. So the three of you are able to lift this piece and kind of cover a bit of the fire. You can see, just like when you're putting a new log on the fire, it's going to take a minute to catch. So you have moments in which you can kind of reach out and guide her.
Yeah.
So she'll take your hand, Briar, and step over it. It gives a little bit of a seesaw motion, and then she kind of squarely lands on her feet safely on this side of the fire. Well done. Continuing to speak to Fernwig telepathically, she says, I saw something below decks. Something I can't describe. I feel like I'm walking through fog or a soup.
Show me.
And in her mind, she will formulate an image of what I described earlier, this globule worm creature holding up the head of just the upper half of a corpse.
Fernwood breaks connection immediately upon seeing that. And she's shaken. She's shaken, and she looks to Briar and Theodore, and she says, what is going on this ship?
I don't know. Soon enough, there will be nothing going on. And hopefully we can escape whatever's here.
If we can escape, Etta says, we can talk to Mother and set everything right. I'm sure that she has answers.
I hope so, Etta.
And with that, Theodore says, oh, I'm sure she does.
So she'll start moving along with you, and you make it back to the lifeboat. You are belaying down. You can see the poor souls who have the job of lowering you into the water. As they let your lifeboat strike the water, you can feel the waves are really pretty violent. Those figures just give you a solemn hand up as a goodbye, and then dash across and load up onto the derelict ship. The derelict ship is now somehow being pushed off. You don't have a vision of it because you're on the other side of the rally. Yeah. The rally still has its anchor weighed, but the derelict ship is now sort of drifting away. As this happens, you hear the rush of water, and you realize that the boards that make up the side of the rally are now moving upward. And the moon has reached directly above you. It seems to span miles in both directions. It's almost all you can see in the sky. This golden, almost orange moon with that crusty, cheese-like texture hovering above you in the sky, bathing the sea in golden light and dripping this kind of chalky precipitation that's the same color. The ship has lifted off the water, and you can see it's 5, 10, 15 feet up. It is levitating into the sky toward the moon.
How is this possible?
About 30 feet down, you see the other lifeboat. Mother is standing at the front in this crossing the Delaware kind of pose, looking up. She looks less baffled than all of you. And she looks over and catches Briar's eye, and you see a glint of something that maybe you're not conscious of ever seeing before, but it's a familiar look of offering, as though she has sacrificed something as she looks at you. And she, like the others that you just saw, holds up a solemn hand. As the ship now begins to collapse, you can hear this violent grinding, crunching, groaning, and splitting of wood as the ship collapses together, just like the vice and the streets that Tiago saw in his hallucination. Impossibly from a physical perspective, it collapses like a hinge, and then you just see it continue to levitate up, 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 until the light of the moon is so bright that you no longer see it. And you are left on the surface of the ocean without a ship. You can see the derelict vessel is drifting with no means of being steered, and that is where we'll end our session tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I hope we all had an adequately agonizing experience. Thanks so much to each of you as players. It really is just such a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us, Jess. We're looking forward to having you on board.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat.
So we just want to remind everyone to you can follow and subscribe to Ghostlight RPGs. We have several streams that we do. Justin, Emma, do you want to mention your streams before we close out?
Yes, definitely. First of all, thank you so much to everybody who actually who already subscribed. Thank you to everyone who gifted subscriptions. That's so huge, so generous and thoughtful of you. We appreciate it. I'm sure everybody who got a subscription appreciated it. If you want to support and you don't know how, if you have an Amazon Prime account, I'll mention real quick that you can use that. That gives you a free subscription monthly to Twitch, and so you can do that. But just spreading the word is also very helpful. Anyway, yes, on Tuesday nights I host the Green Room on this same channel at 8:30 Central. I'm going to be having Jax Fernwig on the show this upcoming Tuesday, so check that out, and we'll be talking a little bit more about Fernwig and hopefully get a little more into who that character is. So, yeah.
Great. And Emma?
Yeah. So when I'm not running from scary creatures on Blood of My Blood, I am DMing Pitfalls and Ponies, which is a My Little Pony D&D crossover campaign that runs Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So if you're looking for something fun and cozy to do on your Sunday morning, come on by the stream and you can join us on our third episode as our ponies travel from Pony Deep to Griffinloft to figure out what's up with the Griffins.
It's the perfect cleanser for after. It really is. It's just such a wonderful, both the streams. It's been fantastic watching them. Justin, it's just like a chill, cool time to hang out with you, watch you do some painting and interview our friends here. And Pitfalls and Ponies is it's heartwarming and hilarious, entertaining and delightful. So thanks.
And family friendly, I should have said.
Yeah. So, with that, I guess we're all done. So thanks so much to everyone for tuning in, and we will see you for the next stream on Sunday.
Yes, and now we are going to do a quick raid. Anybody who hasn't been a part of this before, this just means that we are going to crash somebody else's channel in a very friendly and supportive manner. So all you have to do is stay put, and just when we get to the new channel, just say hi. Just be supportive and maybe give them a follow if you like what they're doing. But yeah, we'll be back next Friday. So I think we're going to raid RPG Chronicles is what we're gonna try. So I'll take care of that, and we'll see you here next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.